Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning. I want to begin with a simple question that might hit close to home. So, the question is, how many of your clients believe their life insurance is set it and forget it? They bought it years ago, they've been paying the premiums, and they assume they're covered. They think, I've got my policy, I'm good. But what if they're not? After more than 40 years in the business, I can tell you this. The number one reason people policies fail isn't because they were bad products or bad companies, it's because no one ever reviewed them. So that's what we're talking about today. The power of the annual life insurance review. When you take time each year to review a client's coverage, you're not just reviewing numbers, you're affirming trust, deepening your relationships, and often preventing financial heartbreak. The review is more than just a policy check, it's a relationship check. And when you do it right, it shows your clients that they matter, not just on the day they sign the application, but every day after that. So let me tell you a story how that changed how I look at this business forever. Years ago, I met a business owner. His name is Mark. Mark was 68 years old. He was a successful, hardworking man who had built his company from the ground up. He'd created jobs, cared for his employees, and wanted to make sure his wife would be protected if something ever happened to him. 15 years earlier, Mark purchased a $2 million universal life policy to protect his business and his family. He did everything right. He paid every premium, never missed a payment, never borrowed against the cash value. But when I ran a current in-force illustration for him, the number stopped me cold. At the current crediting rate, the policy would lapse at age 74. That's just 6 years away, unless he tripled his premium. He sat there in silence and said, Jim, no one ever told me that. And he was right. No one had. He thought his coverage was fine because no one ever checked. That moment hit me hard. It wasn't just policy failure, it was a relationship failure. Because if no one checks, no one connects. And when you stop connecting, you stop serving. When you stop serving, you stop mattering. That day, I promised myself that I would never let that happen again, not to one of my clients, because this business isn't about selling policies, it's about keeping your promises. So now let's shift gears to the teaching part of this talk. There are 5 powerful reasons why the annual life insurance review is not just important, it's essential. First of all, is clients' lives change. Think about your clients for a moment. How much has their life changed in the last year? Marriages, births, divorces, new homes, business expansions, health changes. Every one of those events can impact what they need from their insurance plan. A $1 million policy that once covered income replacement might now need to fund a buy sell or an estate plan. Maybe they paid off the debt or want to redirect funds toward tax free retirement. Or maybe their health has improved and they can qualify for better rates. I like to remind my clients this: your life doesn't stand still, and neither should your plan. That single sentence shifts the dynamic. It shows that you care about their lives, not just their policies. Number two, products change and improve. When I started in this business, we didn't have universal life insurance, or index universal life rather. We didn't have chronic illness riders or lifetime income benefits. Today, our industry has evolved. We have smarter, more flexible designs, policy that protect against long-term care needs, create supplemental tax-free retirement income, and can adapt to market shifts. Yet many of our clients are sitting on outdated policies written decades ago with higher internal costs and limited flexibility. I sometimes tell my clients, if you were still using the same cell phone you bought in 2005, we'd both agree it's probably time for an upgrade. The same is true for their life insurance. Sometimes the review leads to an upgrade, sometimes it confirms they're right where they need to be. Either way, it builds trust because they know you're looking out for them, not just for business. Carriers and market change, number three. You don't have to take off in an airplane without checking your instruments. In other words, you don't go take off without checking your instruments first. The markets change, just like weather patterns. Interest rates fall and they rise. Carriers adjust their crediting rates and cost of insurance tables. Policy looked great 10 years ago may not be performing the same way today. An annual review is a client's flight plan update. It keeps them on course. It's the difference between smooth cruising and running at out of altitude unexpectedly. Number four, the advisor's duty of care. This is where professionalism really matters. If a policy lapses and a family discovers it after the fact, who will they call first? Not the carrier. That's why documentation is essential. One of my mentors used to say, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. But there's another piece of the duty of care that many advisors overlook: beneficiary designations. Every year when I review a client's coverage, I ask about their 401k, their IRAs, and life insurance beneficiaries. And you wouldn't believe what we find. A former spouse still listed on the primary beneficiary, a parent who's passed away, an estate plan that's been updated, but the beneficiary forms were never changed. I've seen families torn apart over this, assets going to the wrong person, legal battles, drain estates, and loved ones left out because someone didn't double check the details. It's heartbreaking and completely preventable. That's why every annual review should include one simple question: are your beneficiary arrangements still aligned with your estate plan? That one conversation can prevent years of confusion of headache. And this is where I want you to separate yourself from the average advisor. The average advisor reviews policies. The exceptional advisor reviews lives. When you pay attention to details others ignore, you tell your clients, you matter, your family matter, your legacy matters. That's not just good business. That's the kind of business care that builds a lifetime of trust. Number five, review leads to new opportunities. Every review opens a door, not just for you, but for your clients. Maybe you discover a need for long-term care. Maybe you uncover a buy-sell agreement that's outdated. Maybe the client has excess cash value they would like to reposition for greater efficiency. When you do reviews, clients begin to say, you're the only one who calls me every year. That's when you know you move from being an insurance advisor to a trusted financial partner. So how do you put all this into practice? Here's a simple 4-step framework that works every time. Step one, create a system. Use the Canvas review module. It provides structure and consistency. Schedule proactively. Don't wait for your clients to call you. Have your team reach out each year to make it routine. Ask the right questions. What's changed in your family, your business, or your goals this year? That one question's open the door to everything that matters. Document and follow up. A short note or summary email after the meeting reinforces your professionalism and care. When you do that year after year, clients start saying those 5 golden words. No one else does this. That's when you know you're standing out in a crowded field. Let me close with one story that brings us full circle. A few years ago, I delivered a death claim check to a widow named Susan. Her husband, Tom, passed away suddenly. When I walked into her home, she hugged me and said through tears, "Thank you for always checking in." Tom used to say, "Jim's got us covered." That moment, that hug reminded me that this business is all about. It's not about products or carriers. It's not about sales or numbers. It's about promises. It's about peace of mind. It's about people. When you perform annual reviews, you're not keeping policies active. You're keeping promises alive. Every review tells your client, we didn't forget you. We care enough to make sure everything still works. And that's that's what set great advisors apart from good ones. So let me add one final relationship building tip. Beyond reviews, there's powerful and credible in sending a simple, tangible card, not just after a sale, but 2 or 3 times a year. A handwritten note saying, thinking of you, hope your summer's off to a great start, grateful for our relationship. It takes 2 minutes, but it makes a lasting impression because people remember how you made them feel along the way after they forgot the numbers that you showed them. The card says, you matter. And it's one of the easiest ways to stay top of mind and build lifelong loyalty. So here's my challenge for you this week. Call 5 clients who you haven't reviewed in a while. ask one simple question. What changed since we spoke? Then after you review, send them a card, not because you made a sale, but because you care. That combination, review plus relationship, is where real trust is built. So let me leave you with this. If something happened to your client tomorrow, would you be proud of the last conversation you had with them? That's the power and the privilege of the annual life insurance review. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Theodore Roosevelt said that. That's the heart of this business. That's what we do at Camas, and that's what keeps families protected. One review, one conversation, and one caring card at a time. Thank you, and have an amazing day.